Welcome, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. I'm really glad you could join me today. Today in this video I wanted to talk about how my lean-to greenhouse supports my whole food plant smart lifestyle. So anyhow, I'm out here at the lean-to greenhouse. It's first week in January. The sun feels good, but we had 11 degrees reading on the thermometer. But the kale inside is still doing pretty good. And so, I've had this lean-to greenhouse here for a couple years. Actually, this January really is my 3-year plant anniversary, you could say. And so, about 3 years ago, I adopted this type of lifestyle. I moved away from the meats and the dairies and the oils and the chicken, the pork chops, the beef, the pepperoni. I was 57 at the time and started to have some real serious health issues, and so I started searching the internet, and my doctor at that point wanted to put me on medication and because of my high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and I was 65 pounds overweight at the time, and so I was kind of like knocking at death's door, you could say, with my health, and I couldn't even play on the floor with my grandson. And so I had to think long and hard about making some serious changes so I could live a long, healthy, prosperous life here and maybe into my 90s, an active life, not just surviving day by day with all aches and pains and ailments. That's no fun. I want to be able to live, and enjoy life and climb the mountains and go hiking. My wife and I go hiking on the weekends and canoeing, and it's just wonderful at 60 years old to be able to do all the things I do now. I was able to do them in my early years. And so getting older doesn't mean you have to get sicker, fatter, and on medication. That seems to be the expectation today, unfortunately, as you get older, even from the medical system. That's just the end of everything is to get fat and medicated, and that's just not true. It's you want to live a long, healthy life. So anyhow, searching the internet, I found doctors like Dr. John McDougall and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and Dr. Michael Greger and Colin T. Campbell and in fact, my wife and I were on the cruise last year and the holistic holiday at sea, and we got to meet some of these doctors, and it was a real privilege. And even my wife has adopted this lifestyle, and she had some health issues, which disappeared. And that's the idea of letting food be our medicine and medicine be thy food, as Hippocrates said 2,000 years ago. So, with all that said, I've done gardening for 25 years and been a contractor for 40 years, and so with gardening here, this vegetable garden of mine has taken on a whole new meaning, a whole new purpose. The greens now and the vegetables, the potatoes, the rice, and that's our fuel source for healthy living. Again, moving away from all the harmful foods that poison our bodies. And I had a poster on my refrigerator that says that the food that we eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or food, or the most harmful foods to our bodies. And so it's our daily food choices that can either promote health or promote early disease and death. And so but yeah, we have the book The Starch Solutions, an excellent book, and How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease from Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and even How Not to Die is a recent book that's come out from Dr. Michael Greger. And so these are wonderful plant-based doctors, and the beauty of that is they get to the root of your problem. Most of your chronic diseases are diet related, food related, and so they treat the cause of the problem. And if you can remove the cause of the disease, you can remove, in most cases, the disease itself. And so the money today is in treating the symptom. That's where the these medical system, the food system, the pharmaceutical system, they make hundreds of billions of dollars a year. It's just unimaginable amount of money. And so they're profit driven, and that's by treating these chronic diseases. They manage your disease rather than reverse or prevent them. And so as Dr. John McDougall would say, that it's the food that causes our heart disease, the cholesterol, and causes the diabetes. In fact, 70% of your deaths are caused by chronic diseases, and that's just horrible. That's terrible, when most of those diseases can be prevented. So anyhow, we love our greens, we love our potatoes, our vegetables. In our garden we grow tomatoes and cucumbers and broccoli and watermelon, cantaloupe, and greens. And for instance, in our lean-to greenhouse, I grow a lot of my greens in here, like the Swiss chard and the curly leaf kale. We do grow some cucumbers in here this year, but when you grow inside a greenhouse like this or underneath the row covers, I do a lot of under the row covers, you don't get the aphids or the bugs on your plants. They promote disease, and you don't get the healthy plants. And so growing your plants under the row covers, it helps promote the plant. They get bigger, they don't have to, again, they're not bug infested. Did have some curly leaf kale that I grew in my garden out from under the row covers, and then they were just filled with aphids and stuff. And so this, the greenhouse, this is about 8 foot by 16 foot. It's a lean-to greenhouse. Makes it affordable. You want to make sure that, at least with greens, you get about 6 hours of sunlight when you grow your greens. And maybe I spent $100, maybe a little bit more. I may have used some scrap lumber that I had around. And, we recently just did a video on putting the plastic over here to winterize it. And, you can extend your season in the fall, maybe a month or so, by having plastic. And then even in the spring, you can plant your vegetables earlier. Like in April, you can start your seeds in the ground here. Or I even get a lot of my plants from Ray's Greenhouse. It's a nursery that I get packs of 6 of the kale or Swiss chard, or ends up being about 30 cents a plant, but the greens, like your kale and your Swiss chard, it's called pick and come again. So as long as you pick the outer leaves, they just continue to grow right through the season. So if you have a small family, or yourself, or just a couple, you can buy a pack of seeds for like $1.50, and it might take 6 seeds of that whole of the package, maybe 12, depends on how many plants you want. So for $1 or less, you can plant, grow your own food and save so much money. If, for instance, if you just had a balcony or not really a garden at home, you could grow these in pots. Most of what vegetables you grow in the ground, you can also grow in pots. In fact, this coming year at Plant Smart Living, we're hoping to do some videos just on encouraging people to grow in pots. If you have a balcony or a back deck, you certainly can grow a lot of food just in pots. Put some growing some medium in there for your plants, and you should be fine. But so anyhow, we still have some kale in here. Kale is a cold hardy crop, just like broccoli. We had a great crop of broccoli in the spring here, and in the fall we grew broccoli as well, and again, about 30 cents a plant. And so we just love our broccoli. Our greens are full of proteins and calcium and iron. They're complete proteins, this vegetable-based diet, plant-based diet. And so I just am amazed at the energy I have, and it's just has really made my life much more enjoyable. And so let me encourage you to think about, if you don't have a greenhouse, maybe think about building one. It's 2x4 construction. It really not that complicated, a weekend project or two, depending on how handy you are. And but this has helped me sustain my plant-based lifestyle, having this, and also some of my raised garden beds, which are 4 foot by 32 foot. I have some of those. And but also let me encourage you, to maybe you could go on the internet and listen to and learn about some of these other doctors that I mentioned, Dr. John McDougall or Dr. Michael Greger. He has nutritionfacts.org, I think it is. If you have any question on nutrition, he checks out all the science, and that's what you want to do. I would encourage you to do is question everything. That's why one reason why we raised up Plant Smart Living, we emphasize smart living. Just don't believe anything that comes down the pike. You know, I used to be that way, very naive and gullible. I think a lot of us are at one point, you know, but once you start, you know, you have to dig for truth. Truth is generally on the bottom, and lies and misinformation and falsehoods on the top surface, you know, and the media just adds to the confusion with everything. In fact, I go to an Impact bookstore. It's Impact. It's a thrift store. But in their book section, if you go into the health department there, or the health section where all these books are, and you just read the different dozens and dozens of titles on all these different books, you know. Although I did find the China study in there one time, and so I got it for 50 cents, you know. I'm looking for the Starch Solution of some of these other books. I have found Dr. Dean Ornish books in there about Eat More, Weigh Less. I have that book in my house it cost me 50 cents. But just, you know, it's no wonder people were confused. You know, everybody had these diet books. Really, they tell people what they want to hear. That's what Dr. John McDougall says. It's good news about your bad habits. And so, again, that's where they make your money. And people wonder, why am I getting healthier? You know, why am I still overweight? You know, and why isn't all this exercise helping me? You know, it's only because you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You got to cut the fat out and, you know, start eating the lower density calorie foods. And so anyhow, it's been a nice day out here at the greenhouse. It's just been enjoying the warm sunshine. Bailey's here with me, and I just want to thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, or if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so you can get some more videos as they're updated. So hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.